Well, I'm back in the purple room, and you know what that means. Good lights. Good sound.
Soundproof.
A good action. Okay, 2 out of 3. Well, summer 2016 is over, and you know what that means. Flu season. And it means no more summer movies. And truly, this was a summer that made everyone say, that could have gone better. Yeah, a lot of big movies this summer ended up having the exact same problems. So, let's take a look at them in our 2016 summer movie review. There are 4 big films I saw that all had one common problem. Batman vs. Superman, Captain America Civil War, Ghostbusters, and Suicide Squad are all good films that seem to be being held back by a layer of mediocrity. There are certainly good things about all these films, but it gets lost in all the not-so-good stuff in all of them. And there's really 2 big reasons for this. The first is time. These are all movies studios knew would be bankable, so they shoved them out the door without much quality assurance, and the films really suffered. A couple of months to iron out some of the kinks in these scripts could have helped the films a lot. Remember last year when Mad Max Fury Road blew people away even though it was a sequel that came out 30 years after its previous installment? But it works because writer-director George Miller spent a good part of that 30-year gap writing and storyboarding the film before ever committing anything to film. Like Abraham Lincoln once said, "If you give me 6 years to make a movie, I'll spend the first 4 writing the script." I might be paraphrasing. And to address anyone about to tell me Batman Superman came out in April, so it's not a summer movie, that just makes it worse. You could have taken 3 months more perfecting the film and then released it to a bigger audience in the summer. And you know, if you were going to advertise Aquaman so much, you could have spent that time actually filming scenes with Aquaman in them. Dude has more screen time in the Nostalgia Critic review than the actual movie. But unfortunately, a writer can only do so much against the might that is the idiots with money. All of these films suffer from obvious studio involvement. I get it, these movies are bankable, and you want to set them up in a way that the charts say will make them more profitable. But you're not artists. Fixing movies is not your job. Selling them is. For the number of times studios step down and fix movies, you'd think statistically they'd have improved at least one movie. And perhaps they have, but every instance I've ever heard of tells it the other way. And I'm not saying there aren't times you shouldn't step in to fix what a writer-director's doing. I'm looking at you, Lucas. But no, you let Lucas make Jar Jar a thing, but take Suicide Squad away to make it less intense. I think you've totally misjudged the type of audience who wants to see Suicide Squad. Murder, 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 murder. But they don't even have it the worst. The worst goes to Ghostbusters, an actually pretty good comedy that's constantly having to stop being a good comedy so it can reference another movie. Everything original in Ghostbusters is fantastic. Everything taken from the original drags this film down so hard it makes it difficult to enjoy. Now, these weren't the only films I saw this summer. I also saw Nice Guys and Popstar, which are 2 of the best films I've seen all year. And you know why these films work? Because they're not based on some bankable property. Unless you want to say Popstar is based on Spinal Tap, which, oh yeah, it totally is. But it's not literally called Spinal Tap, so we'll call it original. And more importantly, there was nothing writing on these movies. They were just films that got put out between blockbusters with a few bankable names attached. But really, these were films that were allowed to be made exactly as intended, with no real studio help or fixed release dates. They got to be the movies they were always meant to be, rather than a blockbuster rushed out quickly so we'll have time to rush out a couple more blockbusters before the year's out. That leaves one movie I saw this summer that I haven't talked about. So yeah, sorry, I haven't seen X-Men Apocalypse or Jason Bourne. I am, however, not sorry that I didn't go see Angry Birds. I'm talking about the most anticipated aquatic movie of the summer. No, not The Shallows, I mean Finding Dory. The sequel everyone wanted? Seriously, who wanted a Finding Nemo sequel? Oh, that makes sense. I joke, but you really get a sense of that watching this movie. Sure, it's a cheap cash-in sequel no one really asked for, but at least everyone involved was excited about it. And while it was actually pretty decent, it's not Pixar's best. In fact, it's probably on the lower end. But it is one thing. Finished. I never got the sense that Finding Dory could be anything more than it was, which I absolutely did with Batman, Superman, Civil War, Ghostbusters, and Suicide Squad. And being less than you can be is almost worse than just being bad. There's salvageable stuff in these films, but they will forever be connected to these subpar films. It's tragic, really.
To the lost potential.
You know what the biggest disappointment of the summer was? Ecto Cooler.
Wait, Matt, isn't there one more movie you saw this summer?
Why, yes, I went to see Sausage Party.
What'd you think?
Sucked. Hey, do you like listening to me talk about movies?
Not especially. You like to make fun of me.
Stop saying words. These are all the movies I own but haven't watched. And you can read what I have to say about all of them at mattloveshollywood.weebly.com under The Unwatched Masses, where I do written reviews of all these movies, as well as some more recent movies. If you go right now, you can see reviews for the 1999 thriller 8mm and the 1940s fantasy-ish movie The Boy with Green Hair, as well as recent hits Sausage Party and Snowden. And by the time this video goes up, maybe also Reanimator. I don't know how long this is going to take to edit. So go ahead and look at those on mattloveshollywood.weebly.com. And if you'll excuse me, I have a date with an Elvis movie.